The maid picked up the wrong phone, and the millionaire learned she was about to be destroyed by his rival. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The soft hum of an upscale downtown hotel filled the air, a warm glow sliding across polished marble floors as evening guests drifted in and out. Against that golden light, Lily Carter moved quietly, almost blending into the background in her simple, Maid uniform, clutching her cleaning tote to her chest like a shield. Her shift had run an hour longer than scheduled, and her feet ached inside worn sneakers, but she kept going. She always kept going. As she stepped out of the penthouse corridor, something metallic clinked near her shoe. A phone. Sleek. Expensive. Not hers. Not something any hotel maid would ever dare touch unless it was lost. She crouched, brushing her fingers over the cool glass. For a moment she saw her reflection. Tired eyes, pale skin, a loose strand of blonde hair falling from her bun, as if the phone were silently asking, "Are you really going to pick me up?" She only wanted to return it to the front desk. Nothing more. But the screen lit up the moment she touched it, a soft vibration pulsing against her palm. A text popped up. Lily didn't mean to read it. She didn't even breathe as her gaze locked onto the words glowing in blue. "Bring the girl tonight. Ethan won't see it coming." Her stomach turned icy. The girl? Who? Her? No. That made no sense. She glanced over her shoulder, suddenly aware of how quiet the hallway was. Too quiet. Before fear could fully settle, footsteps sounded behind her, measured, confident, unmistakably belonging to someone who did not belong to her world. She straightened abruptly just as Ethan Ward stepped around the corner. She recognized him instantly. Everyone did. Broad shoulders under a tailored charcoal coat, crisp shirt open at the collar, that striking presence of someone who made decisions worth millions before breakfast. His eyes landed on the phone in her hand, then on her face. And for a heartbeat, Lily forgot how to breathe. Ethan's voice was calm, impossibly steady. "Is that mine?" Lily's grip tightened. She didn't know what to say, whether to apologize or run or explain why her pulse was racing. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. The phone buzzed again. They both looked down. Another message. "Make sure she's alone." Lily's breath hitched. Ethan's brows drew together, a small crease forming between them as he studied her expression. Fear, confusion, something she couldn't hide fast enough. His tone softened, barely above a whisper. "What did you see?" Lily swallowed hard, her voice fragile. I think someone's planning something. And I think it's about me." Ethan didn't move for a long moment, but something shifted in his gaze. An awareness, a spark of protectiveness he didn't fully understand yet. And neither did she. The phone buzzed again. Lily flinched. Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You're safe. I promise. But I need you to tell me everything." The hall felt smaller now, the air thicker, the world narrowing to just the two of them, and the wrong phone that had just pulled Lily into a story far bigger than she ever imagined. Lily stood frozen, her fingers curled tightly around the sleek phone as the hallway lights hummed above them. Ethan watched her closely, not with suspicion, but with a quiet concern that made her chest tighten. She took a slow breath, trying to steady her voice. "I was just finishing my shift," she said, barely above a whisper. "I heard something drop, and when I picked it up, the messages just appeared. I did not mean to read anything." Ethan nodded, his expression calm but alert, as if he was fitting invisible pieces together. "You did nothing wrong," he said gently. "Phones open sometimes with facial reflection. It happens." She blinked at him. "That is a thing." He gave a small, reassuring smile. "Technology is strange. But right now, I want to understand why your name might be in someone else's plan." The words made her arms prickle. Lily shook her head softly. "I clean rooms. I change towels. I am not part of anyone's plan." She tried to hand the phone to him, but he did not take it immediately. Instead, he stepped closer, lowering his voice as if the walls themselves were listening. "Lily, has anyone approached you? Asked you to deliver anything? Offered you money for a favor?" She frowned, the question feeling too large for her tired brain. "No. The only thing anyone offers me is overtime. She tried to laugh, but it came out thin. Ethan finally reached for the phone, his fingers brushing hers for the briefest second. Warm, steady, grounding. Lily pulled her hand back quickly, embarrassed by how that tiny touch steadied her heartbeat. Ethan tapped the screen, reading the messages with growing tension in his jaw, though he never raised his voice. These messages, they were not meant for me, he said slowly. This is not my phone. Someone wanted you to find it. The idea hit her like cold water. Why would anyone want me involved at all? Ethan exhaled, thoughtful, controlled. Because some people target the ones who are least protected. He paused, softening when he saw fear flicker in her eyes. But you are not alone in this. I promise. A housekeeping cart rolled by in the distance, the faint rattle breaking the stillness. Lily straightened, remembering where she stood, who she was, and how far out of place she felt beside a man like him. I should go, she murmured. If my supervisor sees me talking to a guest this long, I could lose my job. Ethan glanced toward the elevator, then back at her. Let me walk you down. You do not need to do that, she said quickly, but he shook his head. Maybe not. But I want to. They walked side by side, Lily trying to make her steps smaller so she would not stand out next to his confident stride. When the elevator doors opened, a warm gust of air from the lobby drifted in. Inside the elevator, a soft chime filled the silence as the doors slid shut. Lily pressed herself to the corner, unsure where to place her hands. Ethan stood across from her, watching her reflection in the brushed metal panel. You looked scared back there, he said quietly. Most people panic when things feel out of control. But you stayed calm. That says something. Lily let out a breath she did not know she had been holding. I stayed calm because I did not know what else to do. Sometimes. That is exactly what strength looks like. The elevator opened into the lobby, warm light spilling over the marble floor like a welcome sigh. Lily stepped out, and for a moment she thought that was the end of it. But Ethan's voice followed her softly. Lily, this is not over. Please be careful. Someone wanted your attention tonight, and I intend to find out why. She paused, her heartbeat echoing in her ears, then nodded once before walking toward the staff exit, unaware that the night was only beginning to unravel around her. Lily pushed open the heavy staff door and stepped into the cool night air, letting the breeze brush across her face as if it could clear away everything that had just happened upstairs. The hotel parking lot was quiet at this hour, lit by soft pools of light from the tall lamps spaced evenly along the walkway. Her shift badge clinked lightly against her cleaning tote with each step. She tried to steady her breathing, telling herself that she would go home, sleep, and tomorrow everything would make sense again. But nothing about tonight felt ordinary. She kept seeing those messages in her mind, the way Ethan's expression shifted when he read them, the way his voice had dropped to that soft edge that somehow made her feel both protected and exposed. When she reached the bus stop, she sat on the bench and hugged her tote to her chest, her fingers brushing the wooden keychain that always hung from the strap. Home someday. She whispered the words to herself like a quiet promise. The bus arrived with a gentle hiss, and she stepped on, finding a seat near the window. As the city lights blurred past, she let her mind drift. She thought about her mother, resting at home after another long treatment. She thought about the bills waiting on the dining table. She thought about how careful she always tried to be, how she kept her head down, how she avoided drawing attention to herself. Yet tonight, attention had found her anyway. When she reached her stop, she walked the 2 blocks to her apartment building, an older brick structure with narrow hallways and thin walls. She slipped inside, closing the door behind her with a soft click. Her mother was asleep on the couch, a blanket pulled up to her chin. Lily leaned over, adjusting the blanket tenderly before placing her tote on the worn armchair. She pulled out her phone, intending to set an early alarm, but froze. The unknown device was still in her tote. She had completely forgotten she had not given it to Ethan. Panic fluttered in her chest. She should have handed it over in the lobby. She should have left it with the hotel manager. She should not have brought it home. Her phone buzzed suddenly, making her jump. A text from an unknown number appeared. Lily, it is Ethan. Are you home safe? Her shoulders softened with relief. She typed back quickly. Yes. I forgot I still had the phone. His reply came almost instantly. I know. I noticed after you left. Do not worry. I will come by tomorrow to pick it up. Get some rest tonight. She stared at the message, unsure why it warmed her as much as it did. Ethan Ward, a man whose world was entirely different from hers, cared whether she got home safely. It was a simple gesture, but one that felt strangely important. She glanced at the unfamiliar phone again. Should she plug it in? Should she turn it off? She hesitated, then pressed the power button gently. The screen lit up, and for a split second she caught a glimpse of the lock screen wallpaper. It was not a landscape or a company logo. It was a photograph. A smiling man she did not know standing beside Victor Hale. The same Victor Ethan had mentioned. The same Victor whose message she had seen. Lily's fingers trembled as she turned the phone face down on the table. Something was unfolding around her, something bigger than a few wrong messages or a dropped device. She whispered into the stillness of her dim apartment, "Why me?" But the only answer she received was the faint vibration of her own phone. Another incoming message from Ethan. "We will figure this out tomorrow. You are not in danger tonight. Try to sleep." She wished she could believe that. She turned off the light, climbed into bed, and closed her eyes, unaware that while she tried to rest, Ethan was still awake across the city, studying the screenshots he had taken of the messages, wondering how Lily Carter had been pulled into a game she never even knew existed. Lily woke before sunrise, the soft gray light slipping through the thin curtains of her small bedroom. For a moment she lay still, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of a bus rolling down the main road. It should have been a peaceful morning, but her mind felt heavy, pulled back to the photograph she had seen on the mysterious phone, the strange messages, and Ethan's gentle promise that she was safe. She rose quietly so she would not wake her mother, then tiptoed to the tiny kitchenette to start a pot of coffee. The scent filled the apartment, warm and familiar, grounding her just enough to breathe normally again. When her mother stirred on the couch, Lily greeted her softly, adjusting the blanket around her shoulders. "Did you sleep all right?" her mother asked, her voice rough but caring. Lily forced a smile. "Yes, just a long shift." She did not have the heart to bring up anything that would make her mother worry. Not when there were already enough worries in their life. After helping her mother to the kitchen table, Lily prepared a simple breakfast and laid out her uniform for the day. She checked her tote bag twice, making sure the unfamiliar phone was inside, secured in a side pocket. She needed to return it to Ethan. She needed answers. During the bus ride back to the hotel, she watched the morning light reflect off the buildings, turning the glass windows into sheets of gold. People rushed along the sidewalks with coffee cups and briefcases, unaware of how fragile and unpredictable their day could become with just one wrong moment. When Lily stepped into the hotel lobby, she felt her heart pick up its pace. The polished floors shimmered under the ceiling lights, and the scent of fresh citrus from the housekeeping carts filled the air. She walked toward the staff elevators, clutching her tote tightly. Before she could press the button, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Lily." She turned, and Ethan stood there, dressed in a navy suit that fit him flawlessly, his presence calm, yet carrying a subtle tension she had not noticed before. He approached her with a softness that contrasted the sharp lines of his appearance. "Thank you for coming in early," he said. "I thought it would be better if we talked before the day gets busy." She nodded, feeling the weight of his attention settle around her. "I brought the phone," she said quietly. "I did not turn it on again." "Good," he replied. "Let us take this somewhere private." He led her to one of the small conference rooms near the executive floor. The room was quiet, the air cool, and the blinds partially open to reveal the morning sky above the city. Lily placed the phone on the table, her fingers lingering as if it might suddenly buzz again. Ethan sat across from her, folding his hands. "I stayed up most of the night," he admitted. "The messages you saw were not random. They were sent by someone associated with Victor Hale." Lily's breath caught. "The man in the photograph?" Ethan nodded. "That is him. He has been trying to undermine my company for months. But this," his gaze drifted to the phone. "This is different. This involves you." Lily shifted uncomfortably in her chair. "I do not understand why I matter. I am just a hotel maid." Ethan shook his head firmly. "Do not say just. Someone tried to use you because they assumed no one would notice. They underestimated you, and they underestimated me." She absorbed his words, unsure how to respond. It felt strange, hearing someone like Ethan Ward speak as though her safety was important to him. Ethan leaned forward slightly. "I need to ask you something. Think carefully. In the past few weeks, has anyone watched you closely? Approached you? Asked you to deliver anything? Even something that seemed harmless. Lily searched her memory, frowning. There was a man, she murmured. He asked me which rooms would be empty during certain hours. I assumed he was lost or confused, so I directed him to the front desk. But he did not go there. He walked away quickly. Ethan's jaw tightened ever so slightly, though his voice stayed gentle. Lily, that matters. That might be how they chose you. A quiet shiver spread through her. I wish I had known. There is no way you could have known, Ethan said. His eyes softened. But now that we do know, I want to make sure nothing else touches you. Not without going through me first. Lily looked at him, stunned by the certainty in his words. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed, drawing his eyes to the screen. Whatever he saw made. His expression shifted subtly. He stood and offered her his hand. Come with me. There is something you need to see. And though she did not fully understand what awaited her, Lily rose and followed him, the morning light stretching long shadows ahead of them as they stepped out of the room together. Lily followed Ethan through a quiet hallway that curved toward a private wing of the hotel, a section she had never been inside before. Her steps were careful, her pulse quickening with each soft echo of their footsteps on the polished floor. Morning light streamed through tall windows, casting long reflections across the walls like ripples of glass. Ethan glanced over his shoulder, noticing her hesitation. You are all right, he said gently. I just want to show you what we are dealing with. Nothing will happen to you here. His reassurance steadied her enough to keep moving. They stopped in front of a small operations room, its door propped open to reveal a few security staff reviewing footage on large monitors. Ethan nodded at them, and they stepped aside respectfully. Clearly, they knew who he was. Lily stood just inside the doorway, unsure where to place her hands as Ethan tapped on one of the screens. This was recorded 2 nights ago, he said. The footage showed a man lingering on the executive floor near the penthouse hallway where Lily had been working. He was not dressed like a guest or a staff member. He paced slowly, stopping whenever someone walked by, acting as though he belonged there. Lily watched the man lean near a doorframe, pulling out his phone and glancing around before disappearing off-screen. That is him, she whispered. That is the man who asked me about the empty rooms. Ethan nodded. He was not lost. He was scouting, and he made sure you were the one who saw him. Lily felt her breath tremble. Why would he put me in the middle of this? Ethan lowered the volume on the monitor before turning back to her. Because you were close enough to their target area to be convenient. And because they assumed you would not question anything. But you did. You noticed details most people ignore. He paused, his eyes softening. You have no idea how important that is. She swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. She had spent so much of her life trying not to be noticed that the idea of being useful, even unintentionally, felt unusual. There is something else, Ethan added. He picked up a tablet from the counter and opened a file. It displayed a schedule of hotel maintenance reports, guest check-ins, and staff assignments. Ethan zoomed in on one detail. Your name appeared on the service request for the penthouse yesterday. Lily stared at it, confused. But I was not assigned there. I only cleaned the hallway. My supervisor never puts me in the penthouse. Exactly, Ethan said softly. Someone added you to the rotation. And it was not your supervisor. Lily's heartbeat fluttered again, a soft panic pushing against her ribs. So somebody wanted me in that hallway? Yes, Ethan replied. But I do not want you to think of this as something you did wrong. They chose you because they thought you would be invisible. He took a slow breath, looking at her with a sincerity she was not prepared for. They were wrong about that too. Lily lowered her gaze for a moment, unsure how to accept the weight of his words. When she looked up again, Ethan was watching her with a mixture of determination and concern. For now, he continued, I want you to stay close during your shifts. If anything feels unusual, you come directly to me. She blinked. To you? Yes, he said simply. Until we understand their plan, I want to make sure you are safe. A soft knock at the door interrupted them. One of the security staff leaned in. Mr. Ward, there is something else we found. You need to see it. Ethan gave Lily a gentle nod. Stay with me. And as she stepped forward, following him deeper into the room, she felt the space around her shift. She was no longer just a maid passing through. She was becoming part of something that neither of them fully understood yet, something that was pulling her closer to Ethan's world in ways she never expected. Lily stepped closer as Ethan joined the security staff member at a smaller monitor near the back of the operations room. The space felt cooler here, the hum of equipment steady and low, almost like a heartbeat beneath the floor. The screen showed a still image paused mid-frame, a hallway Lily did not immediately recognize. Ethan tapped the edge of the monitor. "This is from the loading dock entrance," he said quietly. "Look closely." Lily leaned in, her breath catching when she saw her own name written on a clipboard held by a man in a plain jacket. He was pointing to it while speaking to someone off camera. "That list is the maintenance rotation," Ethan explained. "Someone forged a service request under your name." Lily stared, trying to understand how a stranger would know her name at all. How would they even get my information? Ethan folded his arms, thinking. Employee directories can be accessed if someone knows where to look. But choosing you specifically means they were watching the staff closely. Lily felt a wave of unease move through her, but Ethan's voice steadied her again. "You did nothing wrong. This is about them manipulating the situation, not about you." The staff member clicked play, showing the man disappearing into the stairwell. Ethan's eyes narrowed with focus, a quiet calculation happening behind them that Lily could almost feel. He straightened and turned back to her. "Let us step out for a moment," he said softly. "I want to talk where it is quieter." They walked down a side corridor lined with frosted glass panels. The morning light spilled faintly through the windows, brushing the floor with pale gold. Ethan stopped near a small alcove that overlooked the city skyline. "Lily," he began, his tone gentle yet purposeful, "there is something I have not told you yet. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because I needed to be sure." Lily's heart lifted into her throat. "Sure of what?" Ethan rested his hands lightly on the railing. "Victor Hale has been looking for ways to get close to my projects, my partnerships, even the people I work with. He has always tried to do it through business channels. But this," he glanced toward the operations room, "this is personal. Whoever placed you on that list intended to use you as a distraction. They assumed someone like me would overlook someone like you." Lily felt her breath tremble. "Someone like me?" Ethan turned to her fully, his expression softening. "Kind. Hardworking. Invisible to people who only look at status. But you are not invisible to me." For a moment, she forgot the cold air brushing against them. She looked away, feeling warmth rise to her cheeks. "I still do not understand why. My presence mattered to them." Ethan considered her carefully. "Because you were near the penthouse at the right time. Because you picked up the phone they planted. And because your reaction was not what they expected." Lily blinked. "What do you mean? Most people would have ignored the messages or taken the phone to lost and found. But you looked closer. You asked questions. And that tells me something important." He paused, letting the silence settle gently between them. "You are observant. You care about the details. And that makes you far more of a threat to them than you realize." Lily shook her head softly. "I do not want to be a threat. I just want to do my job and take care of my mother." Ethan's expression softened even more. "And you will. I am going to make sure of it." Before she could respond, his phone buzzed again. He glanced down, and a hint of concern flickered in his eyes. "Lily, there is someone downstairs asking for you." Her breath tightened. "For me? Who?" Ethan looked up slowly, his voice calm but firm. "I do not know yet. But you are not going to talk to them alone." And as his steady presence settled beside her, Lily felt the world shift once more, pulling her deeper into the unfolding storm that had chosen her long before she ever realized it. The moment Ethan said someone was downstairs asking for her, Lily felt the air shift around her, as if the hallway itself suddenly narrowed. A quiet worry settled in her chest, not loud enough to spark panic, but strong enough to quicken her pulse. She looked at Ethan, searching his expression for reassurance. He offered a brief, steady nod. "We will go together," he said softly. "You are not facing anyone alone." They walked side by side toward the elevators, their reflections gliding across the glass panels like faint shadows. Lily kept her hands clasped tightly in front of her, fingertips brushing the familiar wooden keychain that dangled from her tote. The elevator ride felt slower than usual, each floor lighting up with a soft chime that only made her anticipation grow heavier. When the doors opened to the lobby, warm sunlight poured in from the tall windows, illuminating the polished marble like a gentle spotlight. Lily spotted a man standing near the seating area, holding a folded piece of paper. His posture was uneasy, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. He looked nothing like the men on Ethan's security footage. Instead, He looked like someone who had rushed here without thinking about anything except finding her. Do you know him? Ethan asked quietly. Lily squinted, trying to place the face. Then her breath caught. Yes, she whispered. He works part-time in the laundry room. His name is Ben. Relief loosened Ethan's shoulders slightly, but he still guided Lily forward with a protective presence. When Ben saw her, his expression softened with visible relief. Lily, he called out, holding the paper toward her. Thank goodness. I have been looking everywhere. She stepped closer, her voice gentle. Ben, what is wrong? Ben handed her the paper. This was left on the laundry desk with your name on it. I did not want to hand it to your supervisor because it looked strange, and I thought you should see it yourself. Lily unfolded the paper slowly. Inside was a printed schedule, one she recognized immediately as the staff rotation for next week. But her name was highlighted in 3 places she would never be assigned to: restricted floors, executive areas, and an early morning shift in a location she had never worked before. At the bottom, a handwritten note read, "Do not be late." Lily felt her breath catch again, this time tighter. Ethan gently took the paper from her hands, scanning it closely. His jaw tightened with a controlled focus. This is not from your supervisor, he said. This is someone trying to move you exactly where they want you. Ben nodded nervously. That is why I came straight to you. I did not want her to get in trouble. Lily placed a hand on Ben's arm gratefully. Thank you. I really appreciate you telling me. Ethan folded the paper and slipped it into his jacket. Ben, you did the right thing. If anyone else brings you something with her name, notify me immediately. Ben nodded quickly before hurrying back toward the staff corridor. Lily exhaled shakily, turning to Ethan. Why are they doing this? What do they want with me? Ethan looked at her with a seriousness she had not seen before, his voice quiet but certain. They want to unsettle you, to place you in situations they control. And they want me to react. Her eyes widened. Because of you? Yes, he said. Because someone believes using you will give them leverage over me. Lily shook her head, overwhelmed. I never asked to be part of any of this. Ethan stepped a little closer, his voice softening. I know. And that is why I am going to make sure this ends. You are not alone in this, Lily. Not now. She looked up at him, uncertain, yet comforted by the gravity in his voice. For the first time that morning, she felt a small thread of safety winding through the chaos. But neither of them knew that upstairs, on another monitor still playing in the operations room, a new detail had appeared on the footage, one that would shift everything again before the day was over. Ian, the security technician, had rushed back into the operations room moments after Lily and Ethan left for the lobby, but neither of them knew what he had discovered yet. By the time they returned upstairs, the soft hum of the monitors felt heavier, as though the room itself was holding its breath. Ian glanced at Ethan with a tension that needed no explanation. Sir, there is something important you need to see, he said, lowering his voice. It was not visible earlier because the camera had a glare, but when the lighting shifted, a reflection showed something new. Ethan stepped closer, his posture tall and focused. Lily lingered behind him, her fingers grazing the strap of her tote as though it could anchor her to the floor. Ian tapped a few buttons, enlarging the paused frame. Lily recognized the hallway immediately. It was the same executive floor corridor where she had worked the night she found the phone. But now, something she had not noticed before appeared in the corner of the reflection on a polished metal fixture. A silhouette, not of the stranger they had seen scouting the area, but of another man standing farther down the hall, partially hidden in shadow. Ian zoomed in. Lily's breath caught when the image sharpened. It was the same man from the wallpaper photo on the mysterious phone, the one standing beside Victor Hale. Ethan stared at the screen, silent but unmistakably troubled. This means he was on the floor that night, he murmured, not just orchestrating things from a distance. Lily felt a gentle chill run along her arms. Why was he watching from the shadows? Why not approach me? Ethan turned to her, his expression softening with concern. Because they never meant to speak with you directly. They wanted you in the right place at the right time. Someone in the hallway to pick up the phone when it was left behind. She swallowed, feeling the pieces settle into a pattern she had not wanted to see. So the phone was never dropped. It was placed. Ethan nodded slowly. Placed where you would notice it, and where I would see you holding it. Lily shook her head, overwhelmed. But why involve me at all? I have nothing to do with their plans. Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice so that only she could hear. Because they thought using someone ordinary would catch me off guard. They hoped I would ignore you. But I did not. His words struck her heart with a quiet, unexpected force. Before she could respond, Ian cleared his throat softly. Sir, there is another detail. He switched to a different angle, showing the same man walking toward the elevator moments after Lily had left the hallway that night. He was carrying something small in his hand. Ian zoomed in until the shape became clear. A wooden keychain. Lily's wooden keychain. Lily gasped, reaching instinctively for her tote. Her fingers found the familiar tag carved with the word home, but a small piece of the wood near the edge was chipped, something she had not noticed until now. Ethan turned sharply to her. Did you drop your keychain that night? Lily shook her head. I do not think so. I always keep it clipped to my bag. Ian pointed at the screen. He must have picked it up before returning it later. That means he was close enough to touch your belongings. Ethan's expression darkened, not with anger, but with a deep, protective worry. Lily, he said softly, they are following you more closely than we realized. She felt her knees weaken slightly, but Ethan steadied her with a hand lightly placed near her shoulder, careful and respectful. You are safe here, he reassured her. And now that we know how far they have gone, we will stop them. Lily looked up at him, her voice barely above a whisper. But what do they want from me now? Ethan hesitated, then answered with a truth she had not expected. They want to use you to hurt me, and I will not allow that to happen. For the first time since this began, Lily felt the weight of everything fully settle over her. Yet beneath that weight was something steady and warm, something she did not quite understand. Ethan's presence, unwavering and genuine, stood between her and the storm gathering outside the door. For a long moment, Lily stood silent in the operations room, her thoughts swirling like dust caught in the glow of the monitors. The weight of Ethan's words felt almost too large for her small frame, yet something about his steady presence kept her anchored. She looked down at the chipped wooden keychain in her hand, running her thumb over the carved word home. It had always been her quiet reminder of a dream she hoped to reach someday, but now it had become evidence in a plan she never chose to be part of. Ethan's voice softened, drawing her eyes back to him. Lily, I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to trust me for a little longer. She nodded slowly. I do trust you. I just do not understand why all of this is happening. Ethan exchanged a glance with Ian before turning back to her. There is something important you should see privately. He gestured for her to follow him out of the operations room, down a quiet hallway that opened into a small conference lounge overlooking the city. Morning sunlight stretched across the skyline, bathing everything in a gentle warmth that made the moment feel strangely intimate despite the tension hanging between them. Ethan closed the door behind them and took a breath. Lily, the man connected to Victor Hale, did not just watch you. He recorded your schedule, your routes through the hotel, even the times you take your breaks. Lily felt her stomach dip. How does he know all of that? Ethan approached slowly, careful not to overwhelm her. Because he had access to the hotel's internal system. And because Victor asked him to find anyone I might interact with. Anyone who might draw my attention. Lily blinked, taken aback. But I am nobody important. Ethan shook his head with a quiet intensity. Do not say that. You were targeted precisely because they believed no one would see your worth. They thought using someone unseen would destabilize me. They assumed you would be easy to manipulate. But they did not expect you to be brave enough to question what you saw. Lily lowered her gaze, unsure what to do with the warmth rising in her chest at his words. Before she could respond, Ethan stepped beside her at the window, his voice softer. Lily, I know you never asked for any of this, but I promise you, I am going to make sure none of it touches your life again. She looked up at him, the sincerity in his expression making her breath catch. Why? She whispered. Why protect me so much? Ethan hesitated for the briefest second, then answered with a truth that felt like it had been waiting beneath the surface for days. Because somewhere between that first moment in the hallway and now, I realized your safety matters to me in a way I cannot ignore. Lily's heart fluttered, a soft warmth spreading through her chest. Ethan, he turned fully toward her, his voice lowering to something almost tender. I do not expect anything from you. I just want you to know the truth. And I want you to know this. He reached into his jacket and pulled out her wooden keychain, holding it gently between his fingers. The man did not keep this because he needed it. He kept it because he was trying to understand you. But he could not, because he does not see people the way you do. Ethan placed the keychain carefully into her hands. Go home after your shift today. Rest. I will handle the rest of this. Lily closed her fingers around the small carved word, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with sunlight. And after today? She asked softly. Ethan met her gaze with a gentleness she had never seen in him before. After today, Lily, nothing they planned for you will ever touch you again. I will make sure of it. She breathed in slowly, letting his words settle inside her like quiet light. For the first time since the wrong phone entered her life, Lily felt the faint outline of safety forming around her, not from luck, not from circumstance, but from someone who saw her in a way she had never imagined being seen.